Welcome to CIT 1203, Scripting. This is summer semester 2015, and the scripting language we'll be using this summer is Python 2.79. In this lecture, we'll be taking a look at how you will be graded in this course. We'll also talk about what's expected for you to do to successfully complete the course. We'll take a look at chapters 1 through 4 in the textbook, and we'll talk about the week 1 homework. Let's look at grading. Your grading is available in D2L, and I will update the grades every Monday. The initial course assignments are displayed on the grading page, and they may be added to during the semester depending on how we proceed through the course. What you are seeing displayed here are the point values for each of the current assignments. And again, each Monday I'll fill in your scores for the assignments that have been completed. What can you expect to have to do to successfully complete this course? Well, first of all, don't put your assignments off to the last minute. Especially when we get further into Python, you'll find out that you will need to spend some time working through your code. So look at the assignment, read through the text, and start to write your code out as early as possible. Each new assignment is available Monday morning at 12:01 a.m. Next, you need to read the text. Our text is provided free. It's a textbook that was made available through MIT, and I encourage you to read through it and look at the examples. Next, you need to do your work. This goes along with not putting your assignment off to the last minute. And yes, you can go out online and find coded examples of what your weekly assignments are. But in doing that, you learn nothing. And when you come to the final exam, it'll show. Next, you need to do a little research. If you're not quite sure on how something works in Python, read the help files and the PyCharm tutorials. Take a look online. One of the best resources you might be able to use is stackoverflow.com. Very useful with Python and 4GL languages in general. Take a look at the questions you have on the internet and see if you can find a solution that will work for our problems. If you can't find a solution, then ask a question. I will ask you what you've done to try and resolve the issue on your own, and I expect to hear a response. Finally, this is a community college environment. That does not mean that our courses are easier, but it means that you have more access to the faculty, and we are willing to work with you one-on-one to help you successfully complete this course. Finally, in my courses, I want you to think. Don't look at something and say, oh, I can't do it. Try it, experiment, research, and think. That's how a student will be successful in this course. Let's talk a little bit about my philosophy. I believe in learning by discovery. That means that the assignments that you have in the textbook will give you the basic tools that you need for the course. In the lectures, will help you put together what you've learned and advance your knowledge of those concepts. You have to take an active role in our class. You can't sit back and expect the work just to magically be done. Advice is always available anytime you need it. You'll need to spend about 4 to 5 hours a week doing our coursework. Some of you may be able to accomplish the assignments in an hour or two. Others may take a little longer than 4 or 5 hours. Again, anytime you need advice on an assignment or are having trouble accomplishing the code that's required, feel free to call on me. You're adults. That's how I'm going to treat you. You are not in high school anymore. That means that you are responsible for your work. Everyone in my courses starts with an A. It's how you control that A that determines your final grade for this class. In every course, there are always questions about assignments and extra credit. Here's how I handle that in my courses. Assignments are due at the time indicated on the weekly assignments. In our course this summer, each assignment is due at 11:59 p.m. on Sunday night. There is no extra credit. If you do your work, you'll be able to keep that A that is your initially assigned grade. I do not accept late assignments. Please read the following warning. If you're not ready for a class as demanding as scripting, please drop now. No hard feelings. Come back when you're ready to start. Okay, with all that out of the way, let's take a look at week 1. First of all, you need to read the text material, and that's chapters 1 through 4 in a bit of Python. You'll find that, by the way, in the week 1 content folder. Next, you need to install Python 2.79 and the JetBrains PyCharm IDE on your computer. The textbook has detailed instructions on how to accomplish this. If you have trouble with the installation of either program, feel free to contact me, and in cases where you have a laptop or want to lug your desktop into my office, I'll assist you with the install. Finally, you need to submit your homework for week 1 to the week 1 Dropbox by June 7th at 11:59 p.m. All right, this is a good place for a break. Stand up, take a walk, do some exercises, stretch a little bit, go get a cup of coffee, and we'll start lecture 1. Most weeks we'll cover just one chapter in the textbook. However, this week we're covering chapters 1 through 4. It's an introduction to Python, and it's also the process on how to install Python and the PyCharm IDE on your computers, plus an introduction to the basics of Python programming. Let's make sure that you have Python installed correctly. So if you would, bring up the command window on your computer. Once you brought up the Python command prompt, let's go ahead and type in the following code. Print, then quotation marks, hello world. When you press enter, below that command prompt, you'll see that Python has printed out hello world. Congratulations, you just created your first Python script. Now, let's try a little math. On the screen in your Python window at the command prompt, go ahead and enter A equals 2, semicolon, B equals 3, semicolon, C equals A plus B, semicolon, print C. Notice that we can list several different Python commands on one line, and we separate them by a semicolon. When you press enter, there's the solution, 5. Now, that's pretty easy to use the Python command window, but let's look at some of the problems that we would have with that command prompt. First of all, we can't save any of the work that we put in. If we wanted to save our formula, C equals A plus B, there's no vehicle for us to do that at the command prompt level. Second, it's hard to make corrections. If you made an error in entering code at the beginning of the line, you would have to erase the entire line to make that correction and then re-enter the code. There's no easy way to print your work. And finally, it's almost impossible to collaborate. That is, share code with someone else in developing a script or a program that you're working on. So what's the solution? Well, in our case, it's PyCharm by JetBrains. This is the educational edition that we'll be using, and is provided in the academic environment free of charge. At this point, the question usually comes up, well, can't I use Notepad instead of PyCharm? Well, you could, but the indentation on Notepad is not automated. In PyCharm it is, and you'll find out with Python, everything in our code is based on indentation. Now, there is a program called Notepad++ that might work, but again, it's not fully automated like PyCharm is. So, I highly recommend that you use PyCharm. Let's start a project in PyCharm. Make sure that you have your installation correct and look at some of its advantages. First of all, from the opening screen, we want to create a new project. We'll then be prompted to select the type of project that we're going to use. Throughout this course, we'll select Pure Python. Next, we're going to get a welcome, and we're going to be asked to fill in the name of the project that we're creating. Now, during installation, you should have created a location for your Python project files. If you didn't, you can always navigate out to a directory that you want to record your files in. Once you've determined the location and the name of your file, you want to hit the Create button in the lower right-hand corner. That gets us started. Notice we now have our project. In this case, it's called class number 2, and we can right-click on class 2, and a flyout menu will come up. When we click on New, an additional flyout menu appears, and from that menu, we want to select File. And now we want to enter the name for our new file. In this case, let's enter Hello World. One more screen to go through, and it's going to prompt us to what type of file do we want to create. And again, we are creating Python files. So select Python and click OK. Finally, we're at the code window. And let's go ahead and type in what we typed in at the command prompt. By the way, I'm using double quote marks here, and notice when you type that double quote mark, both sets of quotes come up. By the way, the black line you see on screen is my cursor. Once you've entered that code, go ahead and press Enter. Notice the green arrow that appears in the code window. go ahead and left click that arrow and look to the bottom left in your run window, and there's your code activated and printed out. Let's add some more code to our Hello World file. My technique is always to use the double quote marks for material printed on the screen. Yes, you can use single quote marks, but in the future that could cause you some problem. Okay, that's one script that we've created in PyCharm. Let's do another. Remember, go over to the project, class number 2 in this case, right click, bring up the flyout menus. We're creating a new file. Let's call this file Simple Math. Remember to select Python Files and click OK. Now let's enter the little math program that we used at the command prompt. Please note as you enter this code that in Python we don't have to declare the types of variables we're using. When we type in the code a equals 5, Python automatically recognizes that a is going to be a numeric value. And we finish our script with lines 3 and 4. In line 4, we're printing out the results of our formula. Let's also add another line, and in this case, we'll take advantage of Python recognizing our variables and add line 5. E equals my second Python program, print E. So in less than a half hour, you've created your first 2 Python scripts. Now let's make sure that you get credit for the work that you do in our class. I would like you to annotate each of your scripts with the information displayed on lines 1, 2, and 3. In Python, we indicate comments by using the $sign. So on line 1, put a $sign and your name, the class or the week that we're doing, and the date that you turned your material in. Pretty simple. Now, the way that you can easily capture what you've done on the screen is to use the snipping tool. If you're not sure how to locate it, go ahead and bring up the search program under the Windows button and type in SNI. That will delay the snipping tool. Then all you need to do is take a picture of your screen and include the code and the results of the program. Make sure your image capture is readable before you put it in the Dropbox. For grading purposes, if the image isn't readable, then the score is going to be recorded as 0. Once you've taken your capture picture of your code and run window, then just drop it into WordPad and that file can be put into the Dropbox. Let's take a look at the week 1 lab assignment. First of all, I want you to create a script in Python that will print your name on the first line, print your email address on line 2, and show the code to perform the following math equation. Print your answer to the equation, and then use the snipping tool to take a screen capture of your code and run window. Print the screen capture using WordPad and submit it to the week 1 Dropbox by June 7th at 11:59 p.m. If you have problems, please make sure to contact me for advice. Again, if you had difficulty in getting Python or PyCharm to work, please contact me in my office.